Under the bright lights of the WNBA, stories of ambition, loyalty, and power are constantly unfolding. But every once in a while, a decision comes along that shakes the entire foundation of the league. This is one of those moments. When Sandy Brondello, a championship-winning coach, a respected tactician, and a proven leader, turned down the chance to coach Paige Bueckers and the Dallas Wings, she didn't just reject a job. She made a statement that sent shockwaves across women's basketball. It was the kind of move that had fans, analysts, and insiders scrambling for answers. Because no one, absolutely no one, saw it coming. For weeks, rumors had circled like wildfire. Brondello, the architect behind some of the most successful teams in recent memory, was the obvious choice for the Dallas Wings. She had the pedigree, the presence, and the pressure-tested experience that made her the perfect match for a franchise desperate to rise. With Paige Bueckers, one of the brightest young stars the league has ever seen, at the center of the Dallas rebuild, the narrative was writing itself. The future looked golden. The headlines were already drafted. A championship coach leading a generational talent. It was the kind of story the league craves. But then, without a single leak or whisper, Brondello said no. That single decision changed everything. The Wings' front office had been quietly confident that the deal was as good as done. They'd courted her, pitched her, and shaped their entire off-season strategy around her leadership. To them, Sandy Brondello wasn't just a candidate, she was the plan. But when she declined, when she chose to walk away from the most hyped opportunity in the league, it forced everyone to stop and ask why. What could make a world-class coach with a history of success and a resume that speaks louder than most turn her back on a ready-made contender? What did she see that others didn't? At first, the answer seemed impossible to comprehend. Dallas had everything a coach could ask for: star power, visibility, and a roster loaded with young potential. Coaching Paige Bueckers alone would have been a dream for almost anyone. She's not just talented, she's magnetic. Her leadership, her skill, and her marketability have made her the face of a new era in women's basketball. Yet for Sandy, that spotlight may have been the very reason she walked away. Because sometimes, the brightest lights can also burn the fastest. Behind the scenes, the picture wasn't as perfect as it seemed. The Dallas Wings had been battling a quiet storm of instability for years. Frequent coaching changes, inconsistent leadership, and a front office known for its tight grip on every decision. The pressure inside that organization was relentless. Coaches were expected to win instantly, manage egos flawlessly, and survive the scrutiny that came with a team constantly under the microscope. Brondello, a coach who thrives on structure, independence, and long-term vision, likely saw warning signs that others ignored. To the public, the Dallas job looked like a dream. To Sandy Brondello, it looked like a trap. In an era where the average coaching tenure barely lasts a few seasons, walking into Dallas would have meant stepping into a pressure cooker, one where even a slow start could end careers. If the team failed to click, the blame would fall on her shoulders. If Paige struggled, the criticism would be relentless. The stakes were enormous, and the timeline to succeed was brutally short. For a coach who's already proven her worth on championship stages, that kind of environment wasn't a challenge, it was a countdown. Instead, she looked north to Toronto, the Toronto Tempo. The WNBA's newest expansion team offered something radically different. No legacy, no baggage, no suffocating expectations, just an open canvas and the freedom to build something from scratch. To most, an expansion team means years of struggle and development. To a veteran like Brondello, it meant opportunity, the kind that comes once in a lifetime. In Toronto, she wouldn't inherit anyone else's mess. She'd create her own vision, her own system, her own identity. That's not pressure, that's power. When word broke that she'd chosen Toronto over Dallas, it wasn't just shocking, it was symbolic. Because what Brondello did wasn't just about basketball. It was about control, longevity, and purpose. Toronto gave her time, something that no contender can ever promise. With an expansion team, expectations are tempered. No one demands a championship right away. She'd have 4 or 5 years to build a culture, to shape a roster, to lay a foundation that would outlast any single season. That's the kind of long-term vision most coaches only dream of. Beyond the court, Toronto offered something else entirely. A city that's international in every sense. A growing basketball hub that's already proven it can support greatness. The Raptors did it for the NBA. Now the Tempo have the chance to do it for the WNBA. Brondello's experience coaching globally especially with Australia's national team, made her uniquely suited for this kind of challenge. In Toronto, she'd have access to a broader pool of talent, international players, global fans, and a city hungry for women's sports. The recruiting potential, the cultural energy, and the sense of history in the making, it all added up to something far bigger than a coaching job. It was a legacy project, and make no mistake, Brondello knows legacy. She spent decades building teams, nurturing stars, and guiding players through both triumph and failure. Her coaching philosophy has always revolved around patience and trust, two things that can't survive in a franchise obsessed with instant gratification. That's why Dallas, for all its talent, never truly made sense for her. It wasn't a lack of belief in Paige Bueckers or the roster. It was a lack of breathing room. She knew that coaching a generational talent like Paige meant inheriting not just her potential, but the relentless noise that surrounds her. Every game, every possession, every loss would be magnified. Every headline would have her name attached to it. And in that environment, success can feel more like survival than achievement. In Toronto, she saw the opposite. Freedom. A chance to build patiently, to fail safely, to grow naturally. She could design her own playbook without someone looking over her shoulder. She could take international players under her wing and give them a real platform. She could be part of something that wasn't just about winning, it was about pioneering. Because by joining Toronto, Sandy Brondello wasn't just signing up to coach basketball. She was helping to expand the WNBA's footprint beyond American borders. She was helping to globalize the game she spent her life building. The symbolism runs deeper than it seems. The WNBA has always been about evolution, about growth, visibility, and breaking barriers. With Brondello leading the tempo, that evolution takes a global step forward. Canada isn't just a new market. It's a statement that women's basketball can thrive anywhere. And by being the first major figure to embrace that shift, Brondello has effectively rewritten what ambition looks like for a coach. No longer is success measured by joining the biggest roster or chasing the next championship ring. Sometimes it's measured by what you create, not what you inherit. Meanwhile, in Dallas, her decision left a void that went beyond basketball. Fans were frustrated. Analysts questioned whether the front office had botched the opportunity. And some insiders couldn't help but wonder if Brondello's refusal was an indictment of the franchise's internal culture. Because in professional sports, when a coach of her caliber walks away, it's never just about one factor. It's about trust. It's about respect. And maybe, just maybe, it's about refusing to compromise your principles for short-term fame. For Dallas, it's a harsh reality. They had their star in Paige Bueckers. They had momentum, hype, and a chance to build something special. But no matter how talented your roster is, if the foundation behind the scenes is shaky, success will always slip through your fingers. Brondello understood that. She's seen it happen too many times before. Talented teams torn apart by impatience and poor management. That's not a future she was willing to gamble on, and so she made the hardest choice a leader can make. She walked away from comfort and chose the unknown. She walked away from the spotlight and chose the shadows of creation. It was bold. It was risky. But it was unmistakably hers. The decision to lead the Toronto Tempo will define the next chapter of her career, and perhaps redefine what leadership looks like in the WNBA. Because for all the attention on Paige Bueckers, the real story here is about a woman who refused to let others dictate her path. Sandy Brondello didn't just reject Dallas. She rejected the idea that success only lives where the spotlight shines brightest. She reminded everyone that real power isn't found in applause, it's found in choice.